What's up guys, this is Best Dwellers, and today it is Maxime coming to you with the deck profile of the deck I took to YCS London this last weekend. I decided last minute to randomly take Hat, because I thought I had a really good matchup into Spiral, which of course were everywhere, and also had a really nice matchup into other decks around like Pendulum Magician and Invoked. So yeah, without further ado, first the Trap Tricks part of the deck, so 2 Mantis, 3 Mamelio, and 1 Dionaea. I chose this ratio mainly because, so first of all, let's get the obvious thing out of the way. 3 Mamelio. This card is absolutely amazing. It's the core of the deck, it's what you want to open with. It searches any whole card, obviously, and when it's special summoned, it can hit spell or trap cards, which is super useful against stuff like the Spiral Fill spell card, whose name I've forgotten. Spiral Resort, that's it. So yeah, 3 of these. Then 2 Mantis. I didn't want to run 3 Mantis because it means that the deck would have too many normal summons and they'll clog up the hand. And of course Mamelio is way better because it actually gives you a monster and searches a trap, and Mantis only sets up for a next turn play. So with Mantis you can normally search Mamelio because you really want to get your traps running. But if you think they're going to run over you, you can with Mantis search the Dionaea. You could run 2 Dionaea, but once again, I was building the deck totally to go first because you really want to go first and set up your stuff against other decks. And you don't want to rely too heavily on hand traps. So I only took 1 Dionaea, but if you want to build a deck more to go second, you want to invest more heavily in hand traps, then you can take 2 Dionaea. But just because I wanted to go to the deck strengths, which is obviously traps with stuff like Sanctum, I only took 1 Dionaea. So yeah, 6 Trap Tricks monsters. Then onto the artifacts. So 1 Moral Attack, 2 Scythe, and 2 Beagle Attack. So quickly over these guys. So 1 Moral Attack because it's limited to 1 for some reason, which I still don't understand. It helps you hit stuff. It's a face-up card, doesn't have to be a monster, so it's super useful. And that way, it lets you hit Spiral Resort, all the field spells you need to hit. It gets rid of just generally annoying stuff, Trick Stars. It's just a really useful card. But yeah, even if it was at 3, I think I'd only maximum run 2. 1 is quite nice. Then, the reason you actually run artifacts, Scythe is just such a good card. Against any deck that runs extra deck, it's amazing. People are siding 3 Sanctum, 2 Scythe just because Scythe is just an insanely good card. You need to run Scythe. Like, you don't run 3, obviously, because you don't want to see it too much. 2 is a perfect number. Never sided this out, ever. And none of the Trap Tricks sided out, obviously. Then 2 Beagle Tark. Yeah, you can run 1 Beagle Tark and then have this spot for like a Maxi or whatever you want, or another Moral Attack if it wasn't banned, or like another artifact, maybe main deck a Lancia. But I ran 2 Beagle Tark just because I wanted to add more consistency to my Ignition plays and my Sanctum plays, and if I only had 1 Undruid, then it wouldn't be able to work. So although adding another Beagle Tark to improve consistency seems kind of counterintuitive, it works out in the end. So yeah, those were also, so that's 5 artifacts. And then for the hands, I just ran 2 Fire Hand, 2 Ice Hand. I didn't want to run 3 Ice Hand, 3 Fire Hand, because that really clogs your hands. Like, it just really clogs your hands. And once again, if you want to go first, you really don't want clogged hands. You need as many traps as possible. So yeah, but they were really clutch. They forced a lot of decks to use hand traps. They force out Ash all the time. And yeah, it gets rid of resorts, it gets rid of the links, so they don't really self-protection. These are actually really good in the format, especially if you go first and set 1, people just run into Fire and Ice Hand. And then for the only hand trap I played, the only hand trap I thought was worth playing, I played 2 Ghost Ogre. Yeah, this was basically, if I was forced to go second, I would have this for the resort. That's basically it. I'd have this for resort, and yeah, that's it. Like, then onto the spells. You barely play any spells on the deck. So first for targeting spells and traps and field spells, this was my ratio. 2 Ignition and 2 Twin Twister. You could very well have gone 3 Ignition and 1 Twin Twister, but I wanted 2 Twin Twister. I don't know why. I just like it. I think I would rather first turn set a Twin Twister and have a discard card in my hand than an Ignition. This also helps to clear Stupid Baggro. It forces out the Trick Star spell a lot faster. And yeah, but you can run 3 Ignition if you want. This ratio is really flexible. Then for the other spells, just 2 Duality and Regeki. Regeki is here simply because this deck really struggles with clearing boards. So this is in here. You could have it in the side, but I really want it in the main, even though I'm building the deck to go first. You really need this to clear boards, try and get over stuff that your Mamelios can't beat over and your Xyz can't beat over, so this is really nice. But yeah. And then 2 Duality. Don't want to run a 3 because you do some special summoning. You have Dianair, you have the hands, you have your Sanctums, and you have your extra deck obviously. But 1 you don't see it enough. 2's always been the magic number for Duality for me at least. Then on to the reason this deck is actually good. 3 Sanctum. This card is obviously amazing. Yeah, it's the reason this deck's pretty good, besides possibly the Traptrix Masters. It brings out everything. I can't tell you how many times people blind Twin Twisted or just blind hit my back row with all sorts of different stuff, and it was a Sanctum. Like, it's amazing. So yeah, that was obviously good. Then 3 Call the Haunted. Yep, this you use to recur any number of things. Traptrix monsters. The sad thing is you can't actually recur Mantis because all of its effects are when normal summoned or when it's face up on the field, so you don't really want to Call of the Haunted to switch it out. To switch out Call of the Haunted. But it's really good to get rid of spells and traps, stuff like Resort. So yeah, it's pretty useful. You run it at 3 because you can also bring back the artifacts, obviously. So you can bring back Scythe and Moral Tark and stuff. So yeah, 3 Call of the Haunted is pretty good. You can run 2, but then you don't see it enough. 2 Storming. This card was really good if you want to get back into the game. Basically, what I noticed through all the rounds that I played is that if you went behind, if they broke through your defenses, it's practically over. It's a bit like playing Evil Swarms, where if they get past your Ophion, if you get past your back row, then it's pretty over. This helps you get back in the game. Also, Storming was super important instead of actual Mirror Force, because I ran into Cosmo, and they're still running around. And if you have Storming against Cosmo, it's just lovely. And BA actually had a very good showing, as I'm sure most people know. They came top 8, so this is pretty good against BA as well. Then onto the traps, which really matter in terms of defense. Solemn Brigade. These cards are really good, obviously, don't need to say much about them. MVP cards, besides possibly the next ones. Yep, they do their job. They stop everything. They're insane. Then this was my ratio of trap holes. I took 2 Floodgate, Time Space, and a Bottomless. Bottomless is self-explanatory. I love the cut to pieces. It's amazing. It banishes, whatever. Yeah. Then here, you could have taken 2 Time Space, 1 Floodgate, but I thought Floodgate was nicer because this deck does have a really nice Spiral matchup. So I would rather have the Floodgate for just Magicians, Invoked and stuff, and Floodgate stuff, and let me get back on my feet and draw cards instead of having a Time Space. Also, I didn't want to be paying too many life points because stuff like Trick Stars really burns you, and you can't afford to be doing that. So that's the reason. Then onto the extra deck. I ran 2 rank 5s for your artifacts. I ran Durandal and Pleiades. I didn't run Volcasaurus because I'd rather Pleiades over Volcasaurus. Also, Pleiades can recur your Call of the Haunted, by which you make Pleiades, which is really, really nice. That's super important. Also, it can mess up Trick Stars, etc. And Durandal, it's artifacts. So you run Durandal. That's pretty self-explanatory, to be honest. Yeah, so that's those 2. Then onto the rank 4s. You run a lot of them. It's the main part of the extra deck. 1 Dark Rebellion, because this deck struggles getting over stuff, and it doesn't have a lot of high attack points. 1 Rafflesia, because you're playing Traptrix, and this is your best first turn XE. It's amazing, because you've got loads of stuff to send, obviously. This is my most used XE the entire event, because spells and traps, mainly field spells, are so useful right now, so Tornado Dragon was absolutely amazing. This thing, because a lot of decks simply don't have a way of getting over it. This, because it's meant to be the best rank 4, though I disagree. This, because I hate running into just stuff that tries to target me and destroy me and stuff. This was also amazing. I ran against 2 Infernoid, and this single-handedly won me both games, especially if you make it with Ice Hand, which is often a very good thing, a very common thing to do, because Ice Hand's obviously water, so it makes it 2.2k. Roach, because Cosmo, because Invoked, because I don't want them making stuff. And 1 Gaga Samurai, just because you need it to finish games. So yeah, that's that. And on to the last parts of the extra deck. Because you're running Ghost Ogre, I ran 2 Synchros for the rank 8, where you combine it with a with it. Actually, I'll go through my logic for these two. I didn't take aggressive ones. I took first turn ones. I didn't take synchros you would push with, because my logic was that if I wanted to push with cards, I'd keep my Ghost Ogre there to stop any counters, and I just push with the artifact. If I wanted a better defense than I thought my Ghost Ogre could give, I would go with these. So I would go with Omega, obviously to take cards out of the hand, which Ghost Ogre can't really do, and I'd go with Clearwing if I had a rank 4 on the field, because this could stop monsters that Ghost Ogre couldn't by itself. So yeah, that was my logic with going with these two, and they're great, obviously. And then the links, one Deco Talker for literally every scenario, and a Mrs. Radiant if I was making it with Traptrix. Yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. Also, Mamelioing, and then next turn, or Mantising, and then next turn Mamelio, and then linking into this was normally a really nice thing to do, because then they would have the dilemma where, do they want to give me another Mamelio? Like, so that was really quite nice. Then, onto the side deck. This was kind of slammed together at the last minute, but I thought it'd make sense, so I'm going to put it in anyway. This was the best card, I think. Pretty sure. Maybe not, but it's still a really good one. Lancia, obviously, if you play an artifact, it's 10 times better, because you can actually use it a lot better than most people can. You can keep recurring it, you can sanctum it out of the deck. This single-handedly won the Infernoid matchup, and loads of other ones, but mainly the Infernoid one. This also stops the stupid Trickstar back row cards, Trickstar Revival or Reincarnation or something like that. Yep, so that was super nice. Then I had 2 Flying Sea, because any deck that exceeds. This thing for getting over cards that I can't, like Sleeper and stuff. Also, any Cosmo cards, ABC, etc. It's just really nice and forces out cards like Ash a lot of the time. So yeah. Then for the spells. I wish I ran more of these. I wish I had 3 of them. But I only have 2, and I only ran 1. This was just godlike. I like it over Droll and Lockbird, because I want to draw. It's kind of a really greedy, like, it's a really greedy way of trying to do things, but if you have this, it just allows you to draw a lot more than with Droll and Lockbird, which just stops them and gives them a free draw. So I'd rather they let me draw a bunch of cards, have loads of back row, and become immortal, than when I go first. So yeah, that's why I ran that instead, but I should run more. Then, for dealing with pendulums, these two. I always run this ratio because this one can also be sided in against field spell cards, etc. But yeah, these were amazing. This card was particularly amazing. This one was also really good. Like, love these cards. Then, because this deck struggles with clearing boards, so we had 1 Dark Hole, because that's limited now again for some reason. And then the Kaijus. So these 3 Kaijus. Sometimes I just sided in the 1 Gamma Seal, but most of the time I sided them the entire package in. They were great. I only resolved this once, because, yep, I only resolved it once. But it was amazing when I did resolve it, and Dark Hole obviously helps you clear boards. That's self-explanatory. And the last card in the side deck, which I've kept in here for ages, is Chaos Trap Hole. This just helps against anything that's light or dark. It's amazing. It was great for the Cosmo matchup I ran into, and ABC and stuff, so yeah, this is absolutely great. You can't search it off Mamelia, which is the saddest thing, because it's a counterspell. I mean, it's not part of the whole archetype, but yeah, that was still pretty good. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. This was the deck I took to YCS London. I went 4-4 before dropping in round 8, but yeah. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And this is Maxime, signing out.